This week on Behind the PFP.
I have a very sad crypto beginning. I first learned about Bitcoin when it was $80 and didn't buy it. Every time I went anywhere, like my feed was full of people with my face as the PFP. To go further into the absurd, Do Kwon has my face as his PFP. Definitely doesn't know who I am. It's Cosmos. Just make chains for fun on the weekend.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of Behind the PFP. Today, I have my very first guest, and this is a special one for you. You have seen his face all over Twitter. He has taken the PFP world by storm, most recently, Do Kwon's PFP. You might be wondering, who is Joe? Who the heck is Joe? Everyone wants to know, who is Joe? Well, ladies and gentlemen, today's special guest, I give you Cosmos Joe, and we get to know him on Behind the PFP. So Joe, I'd love to know a bit about your background and how you first became interested in crypto.
I have a very sad crypto beginning.
Okay.
I first learned about Bitcoin when it was $80 and didn't buy it.
What year was that?
I think it was like 2012. Somebody was going to give me Bitcoin instead of money that they owed me. And I told him, I was like, I don't even have a smartphone. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I can give you $240 or I can give you these 3 Bitcoin. They're really cool. I've been trading them, making money, flipping them. I was like, just give me the $240. So that was 2012. 2015, 2016, one of my coworkers' boyfriends, every time we would go out, would just start talking to me about Bitcoin and like silver and all these things. But I was always like, I'm out. I don't want to hear about the like stuff that I need to learn, right? So I just ignored him for like a year. Finally, fast forward to like I think my first purchase was in 2017. I bought Ripple when it was like 25 cents. It was because my cousin told me to buy it. I didn't know anything about it. I made a Coinbase account one day. I bought Ripple. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum. Those are my entry into crypto.
So what were you trying to buy in 2012 that this man was paying you in Bitcoin?
Oh, I wasn't trying to buy anything. I used to play in like an underground poker game, and the guy who ran the game, it was at his house. It was like a legitimate game, I guess. You know, he was also the bank, so when people would leave, they would go to him, cash out their chips, and I had $240. So instead of 3 Bitcoin, I just took the $240, and that was that.
Wow. You know, I've heard this. Quite a few professional poker players became crypto Bitcoin millionaires.
I hear that poker players make good traders. I'm not a good trader. I think I have some work to do on the trading side.
Why do you say that you're not a good trader?
I never sell anything. So I buy and I don't sell.
You sound like me.
I sound like a lot of people that I talk to on social media.
We need to go to the same self-help traders class.
I already have a plan. The next time there's a bull run, I am 100%. I'm just going to dollar cost my way out the same way I dollar cost my way in. And then maybe the next bear market, I'll be like 90% in stable coins and everything will be good.
Okay, so can you walk me through a little bit about your experience starting in 2017? Were you invested enough in that market to really feel the bear market that came afterwards, or is this bear market the first true experience you've gone through?
Last bear market, I wasn't really invested enough to really feel it, but it was boring. And I got caught up in the boredom. So I just stopped logging into my accounts. I didn't sell anything, but I stopped researching. I stopped learning. I didn't buy really anything during that long, like year and a half span where everything was cheap. I did log into my Coinbase account once. And I think like Ethereum was like $160 and I had like $180 in my Coinbase account. So I bought one and just logged out. And that was like the only thing I bought when the prices were cheap. Mm-hmm. Before the bear market, my last Bitcoin buy was like 17,000, 17.5. It was like the middle of the night. I got up to go to the bathroom. I checked my phone because you just check your phone when the prices are going up every 5 minutes. I'm like, Bitcoin was going up. I bought some Bitcoin with whatever money I had on a Coinbase. I went back to sleep. A month or two later, everything started crashing. But yeah, I bought basically the top. I bought the top this time too, but it was a very tiny purchase. But yeah, I was way more invested this time around. I knew better. I knew that the market had peaked. Same with stocks. I just didn't have a plan to exit, and I think you do need a plan. You're not going to just wake up one day and sell everything and walk away, because you get a little bit attached to your tokens for some reason, because you're always defending yourself. You're like, oh, well, I bought this because of this, or oh, you don't know what you're talking about. This is going to be big one day. I didn't have a plan to exit. I knew that the market had peaked. Like, it was, Twitter was dying, NFT liquidity was dying. Channels that I was watching were making less and less videos, less and less tweets, and I still didn't sell. But next time around, like I said, I'm going to dollar cost my average weight, my you know what, right out of there while the market's still going up.
So that leads me into my next question. What's your portfolio look like right now?
Actually, show you if you want. I have it on my phone. I would say like almost 40% in Bitcoin probably.
Okay.
And then my next biggest position, I'll show you. I'll pull it up. I don't want to lie on your show. I don't want to mess up your channel with a bunch of lies. Yeah, so I'm I don't know. Can you see that? Oh.
What's left of it?
We'll take care of that in editing. So yeah, here's my portfolio. I'm 40%, 38% in Bitcoin, 16% ETH,
Okay.
12% Atom, and then a bunch of miscellaneous tokens. I've got a couple other, Juno, Osmo, Stars are my other positions in Cosmos that are significant. I have some ADA. I have a couple other like small holdings, and then a little bit still in stable coins.
How did you get into the Cosmos ecosystem?
I got really interested in proof of stake blockchains in 2020, and there were a couple of chains that were on my radar. Cosmos was one of them, and it's because there wasn't really a great source of info. I would watch YouTube. I like Coin Bureau videos and Exodus Wallet team. They put out a lot of good content, and periodically they would do Cosmos videos. I like the narrative of interoperability. I don't believe that we will have separate networks going forward. I think that's impossible to have separate blockchains that don't communicate. Just the model of Cosmos makes sense. Certain application specific blockchains that can still talk to other chains makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think every blockchain will be application specific, but I bought Atom hoping that I would capture some of that value of adoption into interoperability. What ended up happening was I bought my Atom before a really important network upgrade that other chains used as their airdrop snapshot.
Oh, wow.
So it was like February 18th, 2021 or something like that. It was like a big upgrade. I ended up getting a big Juno airdrop, a big Stars airdrop, and Osmosis. Once I started using Osmosis, I was totally sold on the ecosystem.
A lot of the coins or bags that you have right now came to you in the form of airdrops from just holding Atom, would you say?
Yeah, or at least my initial exposure. I would say Juno, Stars, Osmosis definitely, Juno, Stars, Osmosis, probably more than half what I have was just my airdrop that I got. And then I've added, little here and there.
You mentioned something earlier that I think was interesting, that you sell a lot of your rewards. Is that something that you do every week? Do you not reinvest them? Do you have a method when it comes to farming and claiming rewards? Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, in hindsight, it looks like it's smart to sell all your airdrops, right? Because you're going to get the price is going to go down at some point, right? In the beginning, I was getting my airdrops, I was staking them. It's never wrong, I guess, to just stake your airdrop and forget about it. But with certain airdrops, the APRs are really high for staking. So Evmos, and the most recent one was Territory. Those airdrops, I staked them, and then I just cashed out the rewards every few days, and I just bought other stuff with it. I haven't sold those initial airdrops, but I ended up being better to do it that way, just because the staking APRs were so high. Like Evmos was over 1,000 for a good amount of time, and it was over 500 forever. I think Territory is like 400 or 500% APR now. Just cashing out those rewards, putting it more towards like my higher conviction tokens, or I buy NFTs, or I just hold them in stablecoins.
I wish I had discovered Cosmos a bit sooner.
This is still soon. You know what they say? We're still early. Everyone says that. That's like completely wrecked. And then like, we're still early, but yeah, we are. You'll get a lot of airdrops. I saw a Twitter thread today, 15 or 20 more airdrops coming. So you're in the right place at the right time.
Fingers crossed. When you mentioned NFTs, this brought up something to me. I think I heard you in Spaces not long ago, and you were talking about your wife and how she's seen maybe one or two of your videos, and she thinks you own 3 NFTs, but you don't really think that crypto thing. Did I hear that right?
You heard it right, but it was a little exaggeration. It's true that she's only watched like 2 of my videos. So I have like I think 120 videos. She watched 2, maybe 3. But as far as the NFTs, she knows that I have NFTs. If I just printed out all my NFTs and showed them to everyone I know, it probably, the reaction would not be good from anyone. So it's just my own little collection of stuff that I like. Some of it I think will be valuable. Some of it I just bought it on impulse, and then some of it is just straight up gambling. Just like, as a kid I collected baseball cards. When I was a little older, I collected comic books. This is like my next thing in life that I'm just kind of hoarding.
Of your portfolio, how much of that is NFTs?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm pretty sure my second biggest holding is Cardano NFTs. It's probably the second biggest holding.
Wow. Okay.
And I do have some like pretty high conviction holdings there, but I also have a lot of stuff that they're rugs. I paid way too much for them. I just bought them because it was like a FOMO thing, or like the teams have since like disappeared. Like it's just, I would say that's my second biggest holding, Cardano NFTs.
Now, you don't work in crypto full time. Can you tell us a bit about your day job?
I have a regular job. I'm a teacher. I also tutor in the evenings. Occasionally, I tutor like SAT, ACT, stuff like that. I used to teach at a college. And then as soon as that job ended, I had a little bit of time to start my YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel, I try to do 2 or 3 videos a week.
What would you say inspired you to start making YouTube videos and making content? How did you go from being a passive investor to JustJoe, content creator?
I saw there was a vacuum there for beginner content. I'm a teacher. Technically I've been making content, as my career for 12 years, 13 years, whatever it is. It's not that hard if you're already a teacher to package something. There were a couple of good YouTubers that I watched to get a lot of information on Cosmos. I just started my own channel. I was like, you know what? Let me make it, even if it's not going to be perfect, let me start it. I could always stop if I'm terrible at it or I don't like it, and I'll just get better as I go along. And that's what I did. And it's kind of like teaching, because you have to package something and present it in a way that's interesting, but also you have to account for people who maybe they're not tech savvy at all. Maybe this is their first crypto video they're going to watch, and you have to keep them interested. It's a challenge that way. And I try to think about all the different people that click on my video. Are they going to watch it? Yes or no? And it's the same with teaching, right? Are my students going to actually listen to the first 5 minutes of class, or are they going to put their heads down? It's very similar, I would say, to teaching, creating lessons, things like that.
I feel like when I watch your videos, you're learning and sharing the learning experience with me. And I think a good way to educate yourself is if you can teach others at the same time, right? That's the true mark of mastery. And that's
and I am learning. I'm learning as I go along. It's just being documented and then repackaged as almost, not all my videos are like this, but it's a lesson, right? It's like, hey, this is how you do this. This is what you need to know to get up to this point so you can do it too. And I try to make my videos nice and short. I'm not trying to do like 2-hour, my longest video is probably 40 something minutes. I'm trying to account for, like I said, all different kinds of people are going to click. I want them to watch and get something out of it. If they click by accident, maybe I can get them to hang on for a little longer than they normally would. And that's the goal.
What subject do you teach?
I teach science.
You teach science. Like what age range? High school?
I've taught everything from second grade, and now I teach adults. So I've taught 7 years old up to 22.
Do your students know that you're a crypto influencer?
No, my students don't know anything. They're right now, my students are 18 to 22. No idea I highly doubt they will discover me on YouTube by accident. We're going to keep it that way. They might find me through your YouTube. They might watch your YouTube.
Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in the crypto space and they want to get their feet wet? They're interested in learning more.
Learn. Do not follow the crowd. Make sure you know where you're putting your money. And I would say expect to lose like half of it right away. I would say be ready for that, because there will be things that you buy and then you wake up a day later and you lost 50%. So if you have $1,000, how about you just play with 100? And then you could, I would say dollar cost average, learn about self-custody, and then keep learning the space. And I would say start with Bitcoin. I would say just start with Bitcoin. Decentralized finance, it really is the Wild West. We see it now. I mean, it's really hard for someone to wrap their head around it. So that would be my advice.
Okay. So I can't believe I let us chat for this long without bringing up the giant elephant in the room. Can you please walk me through the timeline of events that led a meme to become 2 NFT collections and a live chain? Yes, I'm talking about JustJoe.
So it didn't start with me. I said in the beginning before we were recording that my strategy to build my reputation with my YouTube channel was to be doxxed. So my face is on my YouTube. I use my real picture on Twitter. So my face is out there. Somebody took my face, put it on Charles Hoskinson's body, because they know that I do have a bunch of Cardano NFTs and I go into Cardano spaces. It's just a JPEG. It's not a NFT at this point. And a bunch of people just right-clicked it and started using it. So they would like follow me into spaces, and then I would look at all the people in Twitter spaces, and like 15 of them would have my face. And I was like, all right, it was funny. It really was funny. But I figured it would just stop right there. And then one day we were on a Twitter spaces and someone mentioned that they're making an NFT collection with it. I said, all right, that's funny. I figured, he'll mint like a few of these. They'll use them as their PFPs. It'll be funny. Long story short, it was Tendermint Timmy on Twitter, who hates NFTs. He only has one. He minted 1,000 NFT collection of my face on Charles Hoskinson's body, and he made some variations of it. He gamified the mint. It minted out in like 2 days. I was shocked. I didn't even mint any. When it first went off, I minted some in my giveaway wallet to give away. And then the next day it was like 58% minted. I was like, this is gonna mint out. Like if you pass the halfway point, the collection's gonna mint out. And I was like, I need to mint one for myself. So I did. It minted out like the same day or the next day. I'm like, all right, it's funny. People have my NFT. It's gamified. It's cool. But then they were like, hey, there's
people that aren't familiar with the gamified, will you just clarify what that was?
Oh yeah. So what Timmy did was he made 16 variations of the NFT, but your wallet was only able to mint 10 at a time, or 10 total. You needed all 16 to win the game, and then he would pay you a percentage of the mint. He ended up paying out the whole mint. So he lost money on the collection as well. So he lost money. I didn't lose money, but I bought some, and I gave him all away. I got one for myself. Then he makes a block, or he's very entrenched in the Cosmos ecosystem. He knows everybody. Mm-hmm. So a developer makes a blockchain, it's JustJoe.app, makes a blockchain. It's real. It exists. It's like, it has all the updated software stack of the Cosmos ecosystem, liquid staking, the NFTs, all this stuff on this chain. And I'm like, you know what? This is good, because this will draw attention to the Cosmos tech stack, which is totally undervalued, totally underrated. Now, developers can use this chain as a test net. It's a main net, but you could use it as a test net, deploy some smart contracts or some apps, we could play around with it, and then they could migrate it to a regular chain. Great. Like 2 days later, he mints another collection of like 5,000 NFTs. So that's like beyond the halfway point of minting. He made 100, I don't know how many different ones, 150 different, I don't know. We haven't seen them all yet. So I'm like, holy Christ, why are people buying this? I'm definitely going to get blamed for, people losing money, which my DMs starting like this week, people start DMing me, telling me I'm scamming them and all that. So yeah, so there's 2 collections. my face is on the NFTs. I never thought that my face would be on a Web3 anything. I'm not the prototypical 20-something year old moon boy TikTok person, right? But yeah, I have 2 NFT collections, and now to go further into the absurd, Do Kwon has my face as his PFP. Definitely doesn't know who I am. Has no idea I'm a real person. I can't comment on any of his stuff because he's not my friend on Twitter, or he's not following me on Twitter. So it would started off really small. It was funny, a group of 15 people. It escalated. Every time I went anywhere, my feed was full of people with my face as the PFP. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, it's funny, but then I'm like, what if I wanted to stop this? I would never be able to. Now do not send pictures to people on DMs. Don't put your real face unless you have really thick skin online. It was very interesting. I think it was like a social experiment that turned into a blockchain, 2 NFT collections, and now Do Kwon, who is basically Mr. DeFi 2022, right? I mean, there's no one that whose name has been out there more in DeFi. He has my face on his PFP. So I'm trying to get in touch with him, but we'll see. We'll talk. We'll try to get him on my channel.
Yeah, it's really taken on a life of its own. That was going to be my next question, is what was possibly running through your mind when you saw that Do Kwon changed his PFP to be Joe?
I didn't know. Someone told me while I was on Twitter Spaces. I hang on Twitter Spaces, and they're like, "Have you seen Do Kwon?" And I said, "What are you talking about? Do Kwon? Did you see Do Kwon's PFP?" And in my head, I'm like, "Oh no, I don't follow him." So I look. I just couldn't believe it. It's funny because he doesn't know that I'm a real person, right?
I was watching one of your videos, and you were talking about having a lot of similarities with Do Kwon.
I have one similarity with Do Kwon. I have two. Well, I have 2. We both have crypto. I think he's a Bitcoin maxi deep down. I think he's heavy, he knows Bitcoin will be here a lot longer than these proof of stake networks, which I believe also. But I used to live in South Korea, and that's where he's from.
Oh, how interesting.
My first teaching job was in South Korea. I didn't have a teaching license, and they gave me a visa to go work over there.
So in your opinion, why do you think the Joe NFTs and Joe chain was so successful and caught as much traction as it did?
Number one is definitely boredom. I think the bear market's boring. We have to make our own entertainment. It just so happened that I was the source of the entertainment. I think people that know me know that I could definitely take a joke. I don't mind being the target of the meme or the laughing. I could definitely take it. I think it's funny too. I definitely would think it was funnier if it was someone else, but I think that those are probably the 2 biggest factors. And just the irony of, probably half my content's NFT related. It's just, almost every time I do a Spaces, it's NFT themed. I don't have an NFT collection. I'm not an artist. I'm not a developer. Yeah, I think probably the perfect storm. It was just, if this happened 3 months ago, I don't think anyone would care. And if it happened 3 months later, I don't think anyone would care. It just all came together with the right personalities, because this all happened on a Twitter space. I was on the Twitter space, but I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening, but they were discussing it, on the Twitter space. Hey, can you do this? I'm making an NFT collection. Hey, send me this. And I'm like, all right, these guys are going to make 20 NFTs. No, they made 1,000 and then another 5,000. It's there's 6,000 NFTs of this out there.
You brought up a good point. What I think is so interesting is they were actually working on Twitter Spaces, and people were bouncing ideas around with each other live. And I was listening the night that the first collection minted out, and they were giving each other ideas, and the movement, it grew organically, and people were changing their profile picture, and you could feel the excitement and you could feel the momentum. I remember I went to bed and I woke up and there was a JustJoe chain, and I qualified for an airdrop because I had a snapshot from minting the night before. I woke up and the floor was up 10x from the mint price, and these things kept happening and happening, and there was momentum.
Everyone has a skill, right? And every single person who had one of these skills had a part in this. If I was involved in this, I don't think it would have done so well, right? It was oh, here's 2 developers that, to be honest, the developers, it was Reese and Putmos, who's anonymous, they must have had this stuff ready to go. They just needed a reason to deploy it.
Uh-huh.
And it just worked out. And then you have Tenderman Timmy, who knows everybody in Cosmos because he's very focused on onboarding and engagement and education surrounding blockchain and Cosmos. Then you have the meme masters, right? You have like Rax and Rect Gang and Terra Spaces. So it was like the perfect storm. I had no part of it really. I just had to sit back and I could be kept in the dark, and it worked. I think that in the end, everyone's going to switch their PFPs back to what they were, right? Eventually, sorry if you're watching this and you have a whole bunch of these NFTs. These NFTs are going to be like 10 stars on the secondary market. I'm happy that they made the chain, right? Because the chain can be used to showcase the tech that is directly linked to like all of our bags, right? Forget the NFTs. Like this is like such an endorsement for this interoperable Cosmos software stack, and I think that's the most important thing.
So just to kind of finish off on that, the chain I think you mentioned is going to be used as a test net. Is that the plan moving
Yeah,
forward?
well, it's a main net, but they're going to use it as like a canary chain. It looks like transfers, cross-chain transfers in one direction. So you will not be able to use those airdrop tokens to actually make money. But if applications deploy, you'll be able to use the tokens the same way you would on any other chain. That's what it looks like. Don't hold me to it. I saw screenshots of what they're building today, and I can't believe it. There's a full liquid staking application built in. There are going to be NFTs. There's something called Token Factory, so projects can deploy on the chain and make their own tokens. A couple other things that I'm missing.
Wait, are you giving us Joe Chain Alpha right now?
Yeah, there's a DEX. Like this is serious. It's going to be basically a blockchain, like a living blockchain with validator set, governance, liquid staking, some interoperable abilities, not full, because you will not be able to move those tokens off the chain to sell them. There's going to be no exit liquidity for that. But yeah, that's it. It's Cosmos. Just make chains for fun on the weekend.
So you spend a lot of time in the crypto world.
Yeah.
You probably don't have a
much.
whole lot of free time, but when you do, what are some things you like to do for fun?
Yeah, I don't have that much free time. It's I have 2 jobs, and then this takes a lot of time. I have kids too. I have no free time. I like summertime. I do try to go fishing quite a bit. I watch sports. I used to be a huge baseball fan. Now I just watch it occasionally. What else? I mean, that's it. I mean, a lot of my cousins and friends, we have kids similar age. We get together. I do have a family trip every year. Would like to do that more than once a year, but day to day, week to week, right now, with the amount of free time that I have, not many things get planned long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say just those couple of things keep me going, and a bunch of friends that I've been friends with since early elementary school. And even today we got together for a little bit, and that's one of the things that's been like a constant, no matter how busy that we all get. We get together. We live kind of near each other still. And yeah.
What's your favorite Joe NFT?
Oh man, I like my favorite one is the working at McDonald's. That's so funny. I think it's so no, sorry, it's that one and the one that's the janitor. The posture is just so confident and holding a mop. I love it. I really do.
I don't think I've seen the janitor one.
So funny. The McDonald's and the janitor. I don't know why. It reminds me of Coming to America, I think, and that's one of my favorite movies. But it's my face. Those are my 2 favorites. Definitely.
Who is your Web3 crush?
Web3 crush? Jeez. Can we come back to this one?
Unless you prefer the question, who do you simp on the most on crypto Twitter?
That's the same question, pretty much. What is simp? What is simp?
Simp, like
edit this out. Edit this part out.
Oh no, I will cut. I'm gonna go through all of it with a fine.
I'm just kidding. I don't care. I do subscribe and watch a crypto channel. One of the probably the best channel that I subscribe to is Crypto Casey. Her channel's the best. I guess that's my crypto crush, if that qualifies.
That qualifies. We'll take it.
Okay.
Cosmos or Cardano?
Oh, Cosmos. Yeah. That's not a hard question.
You told me that your Cardano NFTs are your second biggest bag.
Oh, I Cardano NFTs to me are such an addiction. Their NFT scene is exploding or has exploded, but I would say realistically speaking, I think in 2 to 3 years, I think Cosmos ecosystem is going to be where it's at.
DeFi or NFTs?
DeFi has been discouraging. I'll go with NFTs.
NFTs?
I think NFTs are untapped, and DeFi, like during the bear market, all we see is the negative. So yeah, I'll go with NFTs.
Team Rect or Team Rack?
Oh, I'm Team Rack.
Lunch with Do Kwon or dinner with SBF?
I'll take lunch with Do Kwon. SBF to me is like not even a real person. I don't know what that is. So yeah, give me Do Kwon any day of the week.
Complete the sentence. JustJoe is
strange. Very strange.
From the horse's mouth. You heard it.
It is.
All right. So just a couple last words. What excites you the most about the future of Web3?
I think that the biggest thing that excites me is that there will be parts of the world that absolutely need this technology. I live in the United States. There's a bank on every corner, and I know that most of the world does not have that privilege. So yeah, I think just seeing adoption of financial services is probably what I would say is just keeps me going. I know it has to happen, and I think that Web3 provides that via crypto, blockchain, and DeFi.
And you're one of the people still here. Last thing, what's the one thing that you wish people knew about you or they hope they take away from watching this interview?
I guess number one, I'm just learning like everybody else. I just, my YouTube is basically documenting me being very curious. I hope they'll check out 1 or 2 of my videos and see that. I don't know everything. I make a ton of mistakes with buying and selling tokens, NFTs. Every day, every week, just trying to get smarter, get better, and just be more on top of the entire space. I have questions for you, if you don't mind.
Oh.
Just to give it a little bit of a twist. I told my audience that I will make this very interesting, just to make sure I'm not a boring guest. Is that okay?
Oh, they've already been warned about this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have to make this interesting. I don't want to be like the boring guest on your YouTube when you get to like guest number 100. Are you all right? I have questions for you. We'll start easy, and then we'll move into the more serious questions. All right.
Whoa.
All right. Number 1 is coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Number 2, ledger or Trezor?
Ledger.
All right. Number 3, sushi or Mexican?
Sushi.
All right. Those are the easy questions. I just warmed you up.
There you go.
Right, let's
a little bit. I'm nervous.
All right. The next place you want to visit for a vacation?
Oh. Egypt.
Egypt. All right. What's your favorite Joe NFT?
My favorite Joe NFT is the Do Kwon eyes.
All right. Those are the easy questions. Now these are the really hard ones.
Actually, no, I take that back. I remember when I was minting my first 10 Joes, my first 10 OG.
You minted more than me.
I minted 10, but I had to move a bunch of rewards around and different money around to be able to get to 10 in the wallet. And I minted 9 and I didn't get anything good. And on the very last one, I had just moved enough stars around. I minted a Diljo. And I was so excited. I remember getting on Spaces and screaming to the world, I minted a Diljo, and good times.
That was it. Well, everyone has their favorite NFT. So that one goes on the ledger, and that's the one you would never sell for any price.
That one's priceless to me.
All right. I got some tough questions here. This might be like a continuation of your first video, getting to know Jade. I think this will be even better for the audience. Hope you don't edit this out. I think this is going to be good for YouTube. All right, ready? You get a free ticket to Cosmoverse. You sit front row, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're next to the 2 people that you admire the most. What do you wear to day 1 Cosmoverse?
What am I wearing? I'm wearing. What am I? You put me under pressure.
This is the yellow card.
This is the yellow card. I would be wearing a professional but cute dress.
Got it. Okay, that's acceptable.
Maybe
all right.
depending on how much walking was involved.
Okay. All right. Number 2, another hypothetical.
Okay.
You get asked to do a weekly podcast or live stream with a fellow content creator. Who do you choose as your co-star for your show?
I choose Joe.
Me. Oh, sign me up for that right now. Last question. This is the toughest one.
Okay.
Toughest one. On Twitter Spaces, you're on Twitter Spaces a lot like I am. There are lots of voices on Twitter Spaces with no face, just a PFP, right? Whose voice or accent do you find most attractive and makes you really wonder what they actually look like?
This is probably the easiest question.
Is it really?
This is the easiest question that you could have asked me.
I thought it was the hardest one.
It's the easiest question for me. I'm a very auditory person, so voice is important to me. I love Coach Bruce's voice. I think it's fantastic, and I could listen to him talk for hours.
I hope he's watching long enough to get to this point in the video.
If you watch the last one, I talked about who I simp on the most on crypto Twitter, and it was a tie. He was one of them. So
that is true. That is true. No, well, thanks for letting me flip the interview on you.
You really caught me off guard there. I was not expecting that.
I have to make the YouTube entertaining.
Some hard-hitting questions there.
I thought for a long time for those questions, but you came through like a champ, so I appreciate it. You're a good sport.
Did I? Well, thank you. You know, practice makes perfect, but I think perhaps a live stream could be interesting.
Sign me up for a live stream. I'll do weekly, monthly, whatever, and we'll have some fun.
Yeah. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to come chat with me today. I really appreciate you being my first ever guest, despite me still going through the learning curve of making these YouTube videos. I also appreciate that little zinger you gave me there at the end, the surprise questions, keeping me on my toes. You have great energy, but you're also genuine, honest, authentic, and I think that really comes through in your YouTube videos as well, which is why I do believe you'll be very successful. If you guys want to follow Joe, which I highly suggest you do for his educational and informative content, I will link to his Twitter and YouTube pages below. With that being said, I do hope you've enjoyed getting to know Joe on this week's episode of Behind the PFP, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.